Oh, 1-800-449-8255. And welcome again to the most amazing talk radio show in the history of mankind. The Clark the Shark Show right here on YouTube, where I am going to do the review of the Rolling Stones Black and Blue. It's going to be the only review of this album that you'll ever need, you guys, because I grew up with this album. 1976, I mean, this album is, I remember, I was actually in 5th grade at Parkway School in Torrance, and I was only 10, 11 years old, and I already knew this album sucked or something. Like, I hated it. And how's that possible if I'm just a little kid? And at the time in the 1970s, there was something wrong with the Rolling Stones for about 3 years or 4 years. And a lot of journalists were saying the 1972 album, Exile on Main Street, is their last great album or good album or whatever, which wasn't true, because Goat's Head Soup is really good, and It's Only Rock and Roll is really good too. I know side 2 of that is problematic, but on this album, both side 1 and 2 are very problematic, people. You guys, if there's people giving this album a good review, in certain moods, you could pour a cup of coffee and you'll like anything, man. You might even fucking like I don't know, Nickelback or something. If you just, refied your house and you got a low rate and they put 60 grand in your bank, and, who knows, dude. Good moods can do anything. And a really good mood where you're just like in the hot bath, or, you're up at your kitchen table drinking coffee and you had a good night's sleep, and, the Stones Black and Blue happens to be playing. You might even fucking like this album, people. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255, from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone, not a microphone. It's a Sharkerphone, because people, when me, Clark the Shark, I speak, it's into a golden EIB excellence in shark casting microphone. Pure solid gold, baby, just like, I don't know, American Bandstand or some shit. But anyway, 1975, 76, 5th grade, Parkway School. Now let's frame the picture here. I'm just a little guy, 10, 11 years old. And my life was already rough, in the 1970s. Growing up in the South Bay, Torrance, Redondo Beach, I already felt and knew there were things wrong with me, my whole existence. But the Rolling Stones Black and Blue came along and really made me confused. I would say this album maybe even scarred my childhood. This album is so mediocre, almost really bad or something. And then, like I said, you might listen to this in certain moods and think it's good. I've had that happen to me, Clark the Shark. But then I had to go back and take a bath with brown soap, the best brown radioactive soap to wash that Fukushima stuff off me after listening to Black and Blue. And I had to slap myself and be like, Sharky, wake the fuck up. What's wrong with you? You just liked the Rolling Stones Black and Blue. 1976. But anyway, I'm going to give you the real lowdown of this album. Now, one of the first things about this album that strikes you is the Stones are patching together an album. Over the years, as I listen to this album, I say that. Now, Mick Taylor, I don't know why, but he quits the Stones. And of course, Mick Taylor is one of the greatest guitarists in the history of rock music. And that's like fucking Steve Vai or Eddie Van Halen, or I don't know, like Jimmy Page quitting your band or something. Like, dude, Mick Taylor, you can't have that guy quit and there will be no consequences. And believe me, baby, there were. This album is the result. And the Stones, even on the cover, they look a little confused. Like, Mick is like, where's Mick? Well, why did he quit? And Keith's like, I don't know. Even Bill is like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing here? But without Mick Taylor, you guys, the Stones were immediately thrown into chaos and confusion. And, they tried to patch it together with all these different guitars and Keith. And I mean, dude, you can't replace Mick Taylor, you guys. It's impossible. And even the Stones' energy as a band, I would say It's Only Rock and Roll 1974 puts a close on that period of the Stones from, Beggar's Banquet in 68 to It's Only Rock and Roll. And this album introduces that new Rolling Stones, like moving forward all the way, to like Dirty Work and all that, and right through the excellent Some Girls, which is just a monster comeback. And then Tattoo You, which is just like Some Girls, doesn't sound like it, but it's an explosive, huge album like Some Girls. And of course, intermingled with these mediocre albums like this one and Emotional Rescue. And then later on, of course, Undercover, Dirty Work, and the Stones just lose it. But, losing it here in 1976 is a little too early to be losing it. And you kind of had this feeling that the Stones will be back and they will do another amazing album. And that is what happened in many ways. Some Girls, 1978, was just a shock, and it was like a miracle. And where did it come from? That album was just... It came out of nowhere, and it saved the band, you guys. I mean, the Stones were in trouble. They were beginning to be an oldies band playing, off material. They were great live still, but instantly Some Girls made them current, where they could play new songs and confidently, and just kick ass on stage. And if you ever seen that Texas show, man, where... Mick is just, he's rocking out. He's wearing like a swastika or something. That's kind of inappropriate with a Destroy. I don't know if it's like the Damned or some punk rock statement he's making, but the music's really good. And, but Keith and Ronnie are really good on that Texas Live Some Girls album. And the Stones are so confident playing all the new material. It's really awesome. I mean, that album just brought this band back to the forefront. And I would say the Stones were never in trouble live, but album-wise, for about 4 albums in a row, things were looking scary or something. I didn't care. I mean, I'd love the Stones forever, no matter what they do. But... back in the 70s, it was a little too early to be getting mediocre. And Some Girls, man, did that album ever hit the scene and explode. My brother Paul loved that album. 1978, playing it in my sister Kathy's room in Redondo. Never forget those times. Man, he put down the Roxy Music and the Bowie and all that, and he started listening to Some Girls, and I never forgot it. And every one of those songs, awesome. But before that, I think he even tried to listen to this album, and he just took it off the turntable or something. Like, I don't know, like everyone had trouble with this album, Black and Blue. And, it's fair, you guys. What the star, it's going to get 3 or 2 stars, and it deserves them, like... It does, it is a 3-star album, you guys. It shouldn't get 4 or 5, of course, but it doesn't deserve 1 or 2. It's a solid 3 stars, Rolling Stones album. And it starts out problematic with Hot Stuff. The song 520 of just a disjointed, confused song. I kind of like the song because the funky, like the Stones are getting kind of current with that disco funky thing at the time, and still it just comes out all wrong or something. But it had potential. I would like to rearrange and produce this song. I wish I could go back in time. I could have done some things with Hot Stuff and made it better. Now, the one song on side 1 that I love, which is a Stones classic, is Hand of Fate. Really good song. Underrated Rolling Stones song. Of course, you guys have heard it on the radio a lot. Hand of Fate is killer, you guys. And it introduces to you that new Rolling Stone sound. It's not like it's only rock and roll. It's not like that sound. It's like a Some Girl sound. Hand of Fate. Not really, though. It's a killer song. I love it. Now, Cherry O Baby, problematic all the way, where the Stones tried to go reggae. Yeah, man. Real issues with Cherry O Baby. I kind of wish the Stones had just never recorded that. And Memory Motel, 7:07 long. The song is too long. It's very disjointed. The arrangement for Memory Motel is very, like, their songwriter skills are just being, I don't know, like Keith is on too many drugs, or Mick, like they just like, they should have just gone in the studio and arranged and put that song better, because Memory Motel, just like Hot Stuff, has potential, you guys. Me, Clark the Shark, I would have liked to rearrange that song, Memory Motel, shorten it down, maybe cut it down by a minute or 2, and make it into a great song with 3 strong choruses, or 3 strong catchy parts. But the Stones get really confused on that song, you guys. And it is No Till the Next Goodbye, you guys. That's a better song on the album before. And and then again, you guys, later on the album Emotional Rescue, the Stones run into these problems again, just like this album Black and Blue. It's not that the songs are bad, it's just that they could have been arranged better. Not written better, but just structured better. And I would have loved to have been the guy that could have advised or helped the Stones on this album, you guys. Now, Hey Negrita, that's kind of killer, and of course, my band, The Greenhouse Effect, with Going Legit, 1991, with a song with a similar name. The exact name, actually. But yeah, man, my song's killer. Different song, but their song here, I kind of like it. Could have been better, you guys, both songs are kind of edgy lyrically. Some people might even say they're racial or something, or hurtful or hateful, but I don't know. I'm just like the Stones and Mick. I'm just keeping it 100 and telling it like it is. And melody, interesting. Could have been better. I like the, I like all the contributions from the guy who jammed with the Beatles and all that. I mean, killer. I like melody, you guys. I gotta like, Billy Preston. When the Stones kind of broke out to do this weird song in the weird, like almost like time signature or something, it was a shock to people. And they were like, what are the Stones doing? But me, I kind of like that. And I like different shit that's weird, you guys. I just do. Of course, Fool to Cry, letting you know what the Stones are going to sound like in the future, sort of like Hand of Fate. Great song, you guys, Fool to Cry. You know, this album isn't all bad. There's some great moments, and definitely Fool to Cry is one of the greatest Rolling Stones songs ever. It's awesome. And kind of the shocker at the end of this thing is Crazy Mama. I love that song, Crazy Mama. It could have been better, you guys. It's no, like, nothing as good as, like, Let It Bleed or Exile or, you know, the songs it's trying to be like. Crazy Mama kind of tries to take you back in time to those killer kick-ass Rolling Stones albums and songs, and it just doesn't do it, but it kind of does, you guys. Crazy Mama, it almost saves this album. And, you know, this album's so uneven and so off balance and so off kilter and just so disjointed and convoluted or something. It's just a mess, you guys. And I want to love or like this album, but I can't. I'm just more confused than anything. I come away just like, what the, you know. And that being said, you know, it is the Rolling Stones, you guys, and I gotta just somehow like it. But yeah, you talk to a lot of people, no matter how much weed they smoke or how many beers they drink, they just, they can't make it through this album, you guys. And I don't even know if it was the Rolling Stones' fault or if it was just the changing time or the moment, you know, where the Stones were like, we got to change, we got to make updates, and we've got to upgrade our sound or something. And they were just too desperate and threw themselves into trying to do that, you know. And who knows, in many ways, this is like a demo tape, like a demonstration for some girls that isn't or something, you guys. But, you know, it is what it is, but it isn't what it is. It's the Rolling Stones Black and Blue. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give this like a 6.7. It's a 67 out of 100, you guys. I don't completely hate it, and I don't want to hate it, but I am so confused on this album, you guys. The Stones could have done better, but sometimes I'm like, maybe not, because 1975, 76, they just lost Mick Taylor, you guys. It's going to be hard to just get some kick-ass Rolling Stones energy when you lose a guitar player that great, and you're just suddenly you're back, you know, and you got the band is just like back at square one at the drawing board, you know, at the chalkboard, and just scratching at it with their fingers, you know, trying to get some sounds. And it just isn't coming together, you guys. The Rolling Stones, Black and Blue, 1976. Clark the Shark was 11 years old. And even at 11 years old in Redondo Beach and Torrance, I knew this album was mediocre, and I knew the Rolling Stones could do better. And I even also knew that they would soon do better. And baby, they did on the next album, as we all know, the 6-7 million selling multi-platinum Some Girls, one of the biggest and greatest Rolling Stones albums ever recorded, makes you forget about this album. Man, Some Girls makes you forget about everything about the Rolling Stones. When you listen to that album, it's like you're listening to a brand new band. And unfortunately, you guys, this album just did not do that. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkerphone, where you just got the only review of this confused funk R&B attempt by the Rolling Stones from 1976. Very confusing, you guys, but in some ways, I accept it as it is. I really do, because there are just times in all of our lives where we're not having a good day. And mysteriously, there are those days that are good or great. And then the next day just sucks and you can't figure out why. Well, that in a nutshell, you guys, is Black and Blue by the Rolling Stones, 1976. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show. And I'm out of here, you guys. Peace.